I want to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. And we thank you for the co-creation of this interaction once again. We will begin this transmission, Earth Zero, in the following way. We have discussed with you from time to time the idea that every moment you are a new person, that you are shifting through billions of parallel reality versions of Earth every second. The idea sometimes, as we discuss this concept with some of you, may seem that while the person understands to a certain degree that they are shifting, they may not realize the idea that the Earth and the universe and the multiverse and all of creation is shifting as well. So in this transmission, we wish to expand and broaden your understanding that the shifts we are talking about that are automatic and ongoing, that you're becoming more and more aware of that you're doing, extend throughout existence. It's not just you as an individual shifting on the same planet, but the planet is shifting too, because it is one of the parallel versions you've shifted to. So it is shifting. Your universe is shifting. The multiverse is shifting. How can you take advantage of this knowledge in your daily lives? First and foremost, again, we remind you, you don't have to learn to shift. Shifting is automatic. That's how you create the side effect called time and space and change. If you were not shifting, you would not have those experiences. So it's not about learning to shift, it's about becoming more aware of the fact that you're always shifting and starting to match the frequency a little more closely of the shift. The paradox to that is that as you start raising your frequency and becoming more aware of how fast you're already shifting, reality may seem, in a sense, to start slowing down, and at the same time accelerate. The idea of the slowing down is that by matching the frequency, you get to see the frames more clearly. They don't just whiz by, they become more apparent to you consciously. And yet, as they become more apparent to you, they're becoming more apparent in the present. So the idea of seeing more of the frames more consciously that you're shifting through actually allows you to live more in the moment, and living more in the moment while seeming to slow things down actually speeds things up, because everything happens in the now and everything is already existing in the now. So the paradox of your senses will be that things will sort of seem to freeze now and then. Space and time will become more malleable, more flexible. At the same time, you will experience what feels like an acceleration because you're becoming more aware of more of what is in the present, more of what is in each of those frames that you are now more conscious of. So you have this double effect. As you become more conscious of these frames, by raising your frequency, by following your passion, of course, following that formula, you can utilize this understanding of going to zero, going to zero, going to zero with each shift in a much more constructive, powerful, conscious way. Because that is exactly what you are doing. That is exactly what the entire planet, in a sense, is doing as it manifests with you in the new reality, billions of times per second, as the new reality, billions of times per second, since they all already exist. So the idea of Earth Zero is to become more aware of that zero space. The idea that it is truly blank in the shift, and that you get to define in that moment more clearly who it is you prefer to be, what kind of version of Earth is more reflective of that, and of course the universe as well. But let's keep it focused on your planet for the moment so it doesn't get a little bit too heady. So the idea, again, is now that you know more and more that you are shifting billions of times a second, broaden your perspective that when you do, start seeing in your imagination, start seeing more consciously that the earth is shifting too. So that in that sense, not that it comes with you, but that it goes back to zero and is defined, is invented with you. Not just you reinvented, but the earth you are on reinvented. That you are connected to it, you're an extension of it, because you are nature, you are of the earth, it is of you. You are creating your version of it. And so if you start to see that the entire globe is new, zeroing out with every shift, billions of times per second, you will actually start to accelerate the effects you see of things appearing to change in the world, because you are more rapidly and more consciously taking the earth with you, so to speak, as you know you are shifting, and you are seeing the new shifted earth more clearly because you are allowing yourself to include the idea that the earth is shifting and going to zero as well as you. And this can accelerate your experience of actually more consciously seeing those reflections, what you call changes in your reality. Now, this is a version of accessing parallel realities. Again, since everything exists at once, they're all parallel realities. What you call the past is a parallel reality. What you call the future is a parallel reality. Again, it all exists now. But you have these convenient labels for them, these convenient perspectives of them, because you're coming from a space-time framework. However, as you understand this zeroing out principle more consciously, you're going to start experiencing with your senses more of the overlap, more of the idea of a kind of double and triple exposure of the different earths you're shifting through. So the idea is that you may start seeing kind of a residual echo of the one you were at, a residual echo of the one you're going to. You will broaden the idea of the window of the shifting so that you can actually start to really feel stepping across a bridge, including where you were, where you are, where you're going. It will broaden your understanding and your ability to perceive multiple parallel versions of Earth at once so that you can more consciously navigate, because if you can see what's coming up and you understand where you've been, it charts a clearer course in your consciousness. You can actually start to see the course you're taking. You can see more of the map that you are using to guide yourself, to navigate yourself through these billions of parallel realities. And you can broaden it even more and more and more and more until you will allow yourself to be able to conceive of and perceive multiple versions of all of the Earths, and it starts becoming kind of like seeing more of the frames all at once, and you have a bigger understanding, a bigger chunk of understanding of the path that you are, the path that you're manifesting. Now, in a sense, this means that when you start doing this, it's a new way of understanding and experiencing more consistently the concept and the experience that you call déjà vu. Because the idea in what you call déjà vu is that you have a sense of knowing what's coming up because you feel you've been there before. So in a sense, you're using the forward and reverse arrows of time simultaneously as they exist in the present together. So this concept of Earth Zero is a way of expanding the idea of déjà vu into something that is actually a practical device, a practical tool to broaden your understanding of seeing more of the path that you are and navigating it more consciously by being able to see ahead, in a sense, where you are going because you've already been there. Because you are already connected. There are already versions of you on all of the different parallel versions that are relevant for you. So it's like tapping into a future self that already has a past memory of already having been where it is you're still going. You understand? This is a shift, a big shift, because in the past, so to speak, Most of you will rely on learning what you need to move forward from what you've already experienced. You will look back to the past, and I'm not saying you should stop that, but the idea is you're starting to shift anchoring to past events over to the idea of anchoring to future events. Since they all exist at the same time, why not pull yourself forward, in a sense, instead of going back and looking and using that to maintain the idea of knowing that a future self is already on a version of Earth that already exists, and to that future self, where you're going is already the past, can really accelerate and propel you into that future self, into becoming that future self on that version of Earth in what you call the future. And since everything exists all at once, you can use them in any way you wish. You can use them this way. You just have to start thinking multidimensionally and knowing that other versions of you already exist and that they have their own experiences that you can tap into and use to your benefit in this way. So let the future self pull you forward. This is similar to what's happening in the channeling, where I am, again, according to your euphemisms, the channel's future self, pulling him forward, allowing him to become his version of what he believes us to be, so that he can rely on my past experiences to become his future ones. This is how Earth Zero works. Allow yourself to begin to relate to communicate with, to open up to the idea of being in a zero place that can have any definition. The entire planet, the entire world, your entire cosmos, all of your experience, zero. And then from that zero clean slate place, start connecting more to the idea of what the future self would consider to be its best past path. And allow that to become your future path, instead of constantly remembering backwards to propel yourself forwards. Let the future pull you towards it. Let your future self engage you and urge you and encourage you forward by walking in its footsteps, steps that already exist from its point of view, but you will have your own experience of that. That's the beauty of it. You're not actually repeating exactly the path the future self took, but it is giving you guideposts, it is giving you footprints that you will step into and experience in your own way that you believe is relevant for you. But the footsteps are there to follow already. So, allow yourself, in understanding more and more the idea that you zero out at every moment and you can redefine yourself in the next moment, allow more of that redefinition to include the experiences the future self has already had, but in a broad enough way that you can also determine what those experiences shall be for you. Then you will accelerate greatly because you'll be able to see that path more clearly. And you know that the future self is shining a light on that path and on those footsteps for you. Does that make sense? Does that sound like fun? All right. So, let that sink in. There are many other ways that your imagination can aid and assist you in developing this relationship to the future self and allowing yourself to be more conscious of zeroing out. You can use Earth Zero in a number of ways. Let your imagination be your guide, aside from what we have just suggested as a permission slip. At this time, then, in return for the gift you are allowing us to experience in all of you, I ask, how may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues if you wish. And to you, good day.
As we just experienced the summer solstice yesterday, I wonder if you have any comments on it.
Not really.
Anything from an energy standpoint? There's so much focus on it in our environment.
Well, again, you understand that there are cycles on your planet and in the universe, and that these cycles are representative of leading edges of waves of collective consciousness to kind of do a little bit of what we were just talking about. Sort of reset yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
By understanding that you've reached the end of one cycle and the beginning of another as you've set this up in your reality. to utilize however you wish. So it's kind of all about the idea of cycles and resetting and going back to zero and understanding that even though the cycles may seem to just be this, they're actually this, a spiral. And that you spiral and spiral and spiral upward. When you look at the cycle multidimensionally, it's not just a flat ring, it's not just a flat circle, it's a dimensional spiral. Do you understand?
Yes.
And so you can use it as a sense of upliftment, a sense of progress, and a sense of a new beginning.
I know you mentioned last night that the astrology is a permission slip.
Everything is.
There's a lot of emphasis right now, astrologically, on the fact that what's happening astrologically is a good time for us to release the past and all the negative and look forward to
but that's a reflection in an astrologically framed permission slip of what's going on in your consciousness already. It's not the astrology telling you this is a good time. It's the astrology reflecting to you that you've already decided this is a good time.
That's a good comment. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Remember, it's a mirror. Permission slips are mirrors. They don't instigate your expression. They reflect your expression.
Great. I do not have any conscious recollection of my communication with my hybrid children.
All right.
And my question is, am I communicating with them?
From time to time, not necessarily that often because you don't need to, but from time to time you check in and they check in. Yes.
When you first introduced me to that, I did regularly connect, and then over time, and so I figure by now they're probably. Do they also age in their?
Well, yes, but not quite in the same way that humans do.
Okay. And the last thing is there was something on Facebook recently related to vibrational frequency. And the comment was that the vibration of light is the highest vibration.
In your reality.
And water is second. Is that true? That was the comment.
Well, yes and no. It depends on the form of the water, because there are other forms that are representative of very high frequencies, such as crystals as well.
Okay. There's so much water in us personally.
Yes. It carries high frequencies. If that's what is meant, then yes. It's conducive to the idea of carrying and holding on to and patterning high frequencies, but that doesn't mean that the water itself is operating at a high frequency.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your
Does that help?
Yes, thank you for your communication.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's so nice to talk with you again.
And you as well.
And I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for the message you gave us last night.
All right.
About your commentary and suggestions for our political situations.
And let me remind you that I also said that what we did was a litmus test.
Yes, right. I do remember that.
All right. Moving on.
Yes. And when you told us to vote,
yes,
I said yes.
Yes.
Because the general political situations in Japan is not so much different from that one in the US.
We understand, but we told you to vote because it's important that each of you have a voice and that you speak it. More than the idea of what that means to all of you politically, we are encouraging you to understand it's time to speak your truth in a way that is not just private, but public. And that's one way your society has of expressing the idea. So what we are actually saying underlying the political format is it's time to speak your truth publicly. Everyone. Because that's what we read as the ripples that spread out from the rock we dropped in your pond with that particular transmission. Is, are you going to ride the waves? Are you going to not? This gives us a reading to let us know where your world is at with respect to the idea of open contact. And I will give you a little bit of a preview of things to come.
Okay.
In the near future, there will be a transmission from what is called, perhaps best translating into your language, the speaker for the Interstellar Alliance, who will deliver a message to you about what is going on our end with respect to what's happening on your end. That transmission will be coming up in the near future, but it ties in completely with what it is we did last night of your time in creating a resonance, in creating a ripple that is being read by billions of beings out here to see what you are and are not ready for. So, that being said,